What's going on YouTube? Welcome to WestysAngling. You're joining me back in the tackle room again today for our next video in the solid PVA bag series. And today I'm going to be showing you how to load up a solid PVA bag using a Nash Speadload system. So the Speadload system that I've got is the medium size. They do these in a few different sizes. I will list the sizes in the description for you, and also a link to a Nash Speedload. Obviously I'm not sponsored by any of these, this is just the one that I use. I think it's probably one of the best on the market, if not the best. So I'm going to be loading up these PVA bags with my favourite baits today, so I'll show you what they are. So we've got the AquaStim 2mm sweet betaine pellets. Now I like to use 2mm pellets in my solid PVA bags, and I like to match the hatch with the hook bait. So I've got some fishy flavoured wafters here. So a normal barrel wafter, these are 12mm. So we'll put one of them on our PVA bag, hook length and lead in a second. That's one of the pellets that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to combine them with these 2mm AquaStim Black Magic. These are my two favourite pellets. Obviously, you know that I like to use the 2mm F1 Sweet Supreme on the method feeder, but when I'm using a solid PVA bag, I like two different coloured pellets so that you get a contrast. But I do like to match the hatch with the hook bait, so I'm going to be using a brown hook bait. I'm not going to be using a fluoro wafter or anything like that. These are wafters, but they're not fluoro. And I think that's very important at this time of year. Black Magic pellets there. So I'm going to empty both of them into this bowl. We're going to mix them up, and then we're going to load our PVA bag up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give the PVA bag a boost using some of this krill glug, and we're going to inject it into the PVA bag using a syringe. I've not seen anybody really using syringes to inject liquids before, so it's something I do, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So in the last episode, if you haven't seen it, I showed you how to tie up your own PVA bag rig, or a rig for use in a solid PVA bag. So that's there, we've got it pre-prepared. All I need to do is tie my main line onto this metal insert in the end of the stem there, and we're good to go. So you can have a few of these pre-made up, and they're just Avid Carp PVA bag lead inserts. So nice and easy for me to show you with these. So that's what we're going to be using today. So let's put 50-50 mix of AquaStim Black Magic and sweet betaine pellets in there. Trying to keep this video nice and short for you. In the next video, I will show you how to load up a PVA bag without needing a Speadload system. So if you don't have a Speadload system, you don't need to run out and buy one. I will show you in the next video how to do it without one. I love the smell of these Black Magic pellets. They're quite a fruity flavour. What you can also put in your PVA bags as well, if you wanted to, is powders like ground baits, even some of this dry insect meal that I've just got from DNA Baits. I like to add some of that in the bottom of my bag, which we'll do when we're loading it up. Just gives a little bit more of a depth of texture, I think, on the bottom, and probably a little bit more attraction with the powders. Right, so cap comes off this. This is nice and sealed. Obviously you don't want to get your PVA bags wet, so that's one of the reasons. The kit comes with bags, so it comes with 20 bags I think there, and they're quite a long bag, and there is a reason for that, which I'll show you at the end when we're loading it up. So I'm just going to take a couple of these bags out to show you. They're a fast dissolve bag, which means in winter you're not going to be waiting for hours for it to dissolve on the lake bed. So there we go, that's one of the bags. This is the medium size, like I said, and that's absolutely perfect for autumn and winter. I wouldn't really go much smaller than that. I'd just adjust how often that you're casting out. You get this little sleeve, which will hold your loader together while you get your PVA bag on, which I'll show you. Very tight in this little box, but an awesome little container to carry it around on the bank. And it's waterproof, so your bags aren't going to get wet through. You can buy refills for this as well. So I've got some refills, so it should be good for a couple of years there, to be quite honest with how often I manage to get out fishing. So that's the Black Magic in. Let's get the sweet betaine in. Also guys, you know I like using AquaStim, so if you haven't heard of AquaStim, make sure you head over to their website. I'll put a link in the description for you. They do all kinds of baits, ground baits, pellets, wafters, all sorts, so check them out. They have been nice enough to give my subscribers 5% off as well because of how often I use the baits. Make sure if you buy anything off the website, you use WestysAngling 5 at checkout. Put a little bit more sweet betaine in than I have with put a bit more black magic in. So I want about a 50-50 mix really. Look at that. That looks great. Good mix that. Pellets going everywhere, look. Jesus. I'll be getting mice. Right folks, let's get this PVA bag loaded. So, first thing I'm going to do is put my wafter on. We'll get our krill wafter out. I'm going to take a section of bait floss. Any bait floss is fine. Then I want to thread my bait floss through the small eye of the little ring swivel. Again, if you haven't seen the video of how to tie that, I'll put a link to it in the top right hand corner now. Make sure you watch that video first. And put my baiting needle through the wafter. They're quite hard wafter, these. Make sure I don't stab myself through the finger. Then you want to get both sides of the floss and pull your bait onto it. Then pull the tag ends out of the floss and pull the bait down onto the micro ring swivel. Trim off your tag ends. Then we want to blob those tag ends down, whatever's left. Smush that over the top to seal it. And there we go. That's our hook bait on, ready to go in the solid bag. Now what I want to do is I want to squeeze this. Can you see how it's like can you see how it opens completely? That's to allow it to compress down. So you squeeze that in, get your sleeve, push it over the top. That holds it together and allows you to put the ribbed end into the PVA bag. And then we're going to take that sleeve off and you'll see that it opens up around the PVA bag and holds it in place tight. So there we go, let's get that looking neat. And then I'm just going to take off that, can you see, and then gently open it back out. And there you go. Your PVA bag's in. I like to get a good amount of the bag up around the loading tool. Then we're going to load some pellets in, or what I like to do is put a tiny bit of insect meal in the bottom. So I'm just going to tip a bit of insect meal out there. Not really prepared for this. That's such a strong smell. So a little bit of insect meal in the bottom. This is just going to add an extra layer of attractant and a smaller particle. So insect meal's in the bottom. There's a little slit in the top of the loading tool. That's so you can put your line over it out the way. Now, because I'm using these quick change stems, we don't have to do that. So I'm just going to put my hook bait in the bottom, like that. So you want a layer before you put your hook bait in. Can be a little bit fiddly. So that's how I'm holding it. And then we're going to fill that with more pellets just to cover the hook. Make sure that they're going in pretty firm. Again, holding the lead to the side. So that's how it looks so far. Now you want to drop your lead in like that. And put a few more pellets around the lead. Just using that as a scoop. But you want your stem of the lead to be in the middle. So make sure you compress it So this is why it's so important to give yourself enough bag to work with, because when you twist it, it uses a lot of material. So you want to start twisting like that. So give it a couple of twists around the stem. This is really important. Just lick your finger, put some moisture on the PVA, and then push that down over the PVA bag. Work it into the PVA bag system, and then open it up, and look at that, guys. A perfect, seal it down if you need to, a perfect little PVA bag. Now what I like to do is just move some of the material from the corners, wet your fingers, wet the PVA bag, and just stick them down. Stick them corners down. Like that. Wet in, squeeze in, sticking them down. And that, folks, is an absolutely perfectly loaded solid PVA bag. Now what we're going to do to give this an extra boost of attraction and take it to another level is get a syringe about that size. This is 2mm, but it's got quite a wide nozzle on it, which you need. You don't want anything too fine. And I'm going to take some krill glug, which matches our hook bait. Take the sealant off. You can see why I've got a towel down. Oh, this stinks. I'm going to take some of that in. So I've got this absolutely loaded with glug. And I'm just going to pierce the PVA bag, and I'm going to inject that glug into the bag. And no carp's going to be able to resist that package, especially in autumn. That's absolutely perfect. So that's what I do. I just use a syringe and I use glug. But what you can do is you can inject it using goo and these nozzles and stuff like that. But I just like something a little bit thicker, a little bit more attractive, so I use the glug. There's going to be tons of flavour on the bottom like that. But there you go, folks, simple as that. I hope that was easy enough to follow. And if you wanted a little bit of extra security for the cast, if you're casting long distances, you can just wrap some of this PVA tape round the top there. It'll just give it a little bit more added security for when you cast out. So that's going to dissolve on the bottom. The carp are going to come in, they're going to be feeding on the pellets, they're not even going to be thinking about the hook bait. And before you know it, they've sucked it in, and that short hook length has absolutely nailed them. Not only that, but if this does spread out, so if you get smaller fish in, feed in, and it does spread out, because the hook length's supple braid, it'll just lay against the bottom, be very, very incognito and hard to detect. Okay, folks, so as you've probably picked up from the video, using a Nash Speadload system for solid PVA bags makes what's normally, if we're being honest, a pretty fiddly job an absolute breeze. It makes it so much easier and a lot less messy as well. Obviously, I've made an absolute mess here, but that's because I'm working out of a little dish. But usually it makes it very, very easy. And if you do what I've done and buy some of these quick change stems, then you can have a few of them made up on the bank. That way you're not having to do this in your bivvy or on the bank. It just makes it so much easier. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you've picked up a couple of things. If you want to watch the other videos in the PVA bag series, obviously we're going to go out on the bank and we're going to use these carp fishing. So if you're interested in watching that, make sure you click the subscribe button and also the bell icon as well. That way you won't miss another video. There's loads of different videos on the channel, method feeder fishing, specimen fishing, things like that. So if you're not already subscribed, now's your chance to do so. If you have any questions about loading PVA bags or anything that we've done here, please don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section. I always try and get back to people where I can. In the next episode of the PVA bag series, I'm going to show you how to load up a solid PVA bag without a Speadload system. So if you don't want to shell out any money on one of these, that's fine. Make sure you stick around for the next video and I'll show you how to do it without one. So once again, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next Westys Angling, folks.